All right.
Hey,
I just
Brandon.
can't. I just can't keep you out of my house.
I know, right? I know every week.
Yeah. And now we got to find an excuse for next week.
Exactly. How you been?
Good, good.
Good.
It's funny. I almost missed all of these interviews because my cell phone has been stuck at 3:04 for I guess a half hour now. So
Oh,
so yeah, it's been an interesting day, but I guess it's keeping me on my toes.
yeah, you gotta love technology.
Yeah. Well, I kept thinking, oh, I have time, and then I noticed that the clock just wasn't moving. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a big problem. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll go ahead and get started. My
Yeah.
first question for you is, how did you get started in the business?
Really, as a kid watching Star Wars, and I thought, ooh, that's cool. I want to do that. Um, like I don't ever, aside from playing music and playing in bands, I don't really
Yeah,
have a memory of ever having a different goal in
yeah,
my life.
that's
Um,
good. You're very passionate about it.
yeah.
So you couldn't see yourself doing anything else but this.
There was a really brief time for about 5 minutes where I thought maybe I should have a backup plan and I wanted to be a forensic tech for the cops,
Okay.
but that literally probably lasted an afternoon. And I don't really count music as a segue because so much of the like business and so much of the like mindset is a very similar thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 20 years ago, that that I had like a little dovetail into that for a while.
Yeah. So you've been doing this quite a while then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Um, you can't tell, but there's a lot of fresh gray here from how long I've been doing it.
yeah, I got the same thing right here under my new sort of getting a tan. It's been so hot out
Yeah.
here.
You have the thing where every time you shave and grow back, there's always more,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
always more gray. Okay, good. So it's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I start losing more of this. So yeah.
I'm lucky there so far, but I
Yeah.
won't say anything because if I talk about it too much or gloat,
No
then I
happen.
won't.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, I lost mine a long time ago, but I've made it work.
Yeah.
So the flood, I thought the movie was well directed, great cinematography. It felt like a studio film. The CGI I thought it was great. The alligators looked great. A lot of times you go into these films, even with the big budget studio films, sometimes they don't come out very well. Like, you're monsters.
Oh,
So
like the Flash. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud?
I did see the Flash, only from Michael Keaton though. That was it.
Yeah, I like both Batman in it. I like Supergirl a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
That's all I'll say about the movie. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah. No,
Um,
yeah, there were some good parts.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I thought it turned out well. I found out about this movie. I interviewed Nicky Whelan back in September when she was doing Maneater
Mhm.
press for that, and I was like, I gotta see this movie. We don't get a lot of alligator movies, so I'm like, definitely need to see this movie. So I thought it turned out great. How was filming in Thailand? And I ask that question a lot for directors because I'm very sheltered and I have never left the country. So I'm always
Yeah.
fascinated how things go in other countries.
Well, you had Damon on a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
He's been shooting in Thailand for a decade,
yeah,
and there's a reason. You get so much for your money there, and the crews are really second to none. And I don't want it to sound like I'm speaking poorly of anyone or implying that, but just so this is the second movie I've done there. I'm about to do a third one with a different company, and I just gelled with everyone immediately. Just everyone is fantastic at their jobs. There's not a sense of really ego or like a chip on people's
yeah,
shoulder. I mean, of course, you get the bad apple every now and then, but it's a really fantastic place to work, and I like the food and culture and people.
yeah. I bet it is interesting. And then, out there, I know you filmed on location in the building you had. How was it working with the water? I mean, you had to flood that building you guys were in.
So that gray hair I just talked about, I actually was lucky and didn't have any gray hair until my mid 40s, and we dealt with that. So the set was a mixture of two different buildings, like the main area that was like kind of the proper area of the police station, and then the second floor that had the shooting range, and then the third floor that was unfinished. That was one building, and then the basement and the cell block and a few other things like the tunnels were a different building where all of that was built in, and they used the existing part of the structure as like the wall or whatever. Anyone who's been, there, or even like Indonesia, China, etc., knows that, like on one block you have like extreme wealth and skyscrapers, and the next block you have abandoned buildings that have been there for decades. So we shot in 2 abandoned buildings that were like kind of adjacent to Bangkok, and we could really just build whatever in there. So the building was actually not so much a challenge. It was just working with the elements of the water, because we had like, for the outside scenes, we had huge, like big budget, rain machines. And then inside, like, there's never a part in the movie where it's dry. There's always a leak from the ceiling, the floor, rain outside the windows, or like in the cell block in the basement, the water rises. So it was, I think, even for the people on the crew that had worked on, like the Meg and other movies that have shot out there, it was still a challenge because it's so unpredictable. And I'm used to moving fairly quickly when I shoot, and it was a little grating to have these really long setups when you have to either like refill a water tank or drain it to make sure the water level is matches what it was before. So coupled with shooting overnight, it made you kind of feel out of your head, but the results look great. Like it's really subtle, but when they get to the second floor after they escape the cell block and go through the crawl space, it really just looks like this dilapidated, like post-Katrina. I don't know, just for some reason when they walk into that like locker area that leads to the shooting range in the movie, that's like a full-on living set. And one of the things I'm proud of that made all the stress and everything worth it is that the water just looks awesome.
No, it does. And that's a lot of time, as you're watching the movie, you don't think about that. I didn't think about the water level, the continuity behind that, probably the coloring of it, all that. Never even crossed your mind, and what a pain that must have been to get it right.
Yeah, I'll say the cell block set, because it's a relatively small space. The only way actors and crew could get in or out was actually by getting on a ladder and going over the set. There wasn't like a door that you could go in and out, because we had to fill the whole room. So for a couple of days, I just outside of bathroom breaks, I just stayed in there.
Yeah.
Because I got so tired of leaving. And I found out that even with water shoes and water socks and water everything, like you take a bath or whatever and you have the great pans, I had like holes in my feet from just standing in water for 12 hours. That's probably, my daughter made a cameo, sorry. But that's probably also what gave me the grays. But water, I could do an entire like 2-hour show about working with the water.
And with the CGI, that your actors had nothing. I mean, there was obviously no alligator there for them to interact with. What was there? Did you have any tool or anything that they used to pretend it was an alligator there? They had something to interact with, or?
It was really a matter of trusting a mutual trust between myself, the director of photography, Nico, and the actors, that we were always looking at the right thing. Because sometimes you see movies where there's like, I don't know, CGI storm or Godzilla or whatever, and like one person's this way, one person's looking that way.
The eye line's totally off. Yeah.
So we were constantly mindful of just having each other's backs and making sure we had the like correct reactions to everything that was going on. For instance, the character Big Jim, played by Owen O'Brien's been on like one of the Never Back Down movies, and it's actually in that new movie with Denzel Washington's son, that sci-fi movie about AI. Anyway, his character, for those of you when you watch it, is had some experience in taming gators. And everything, like when he's pulling the gator's mouth back, when he's tapping it, he was just reacting to air and kind of retracing steps from a video that he found online. So, like, to reiterate, it was all just sheer trusting each other. Which, dealing with the water, I think, made us all trust each other right off the bat. So yeah, we were definitely a tight-knit family for a month.
It sounds like you guys had a blast. Is there a dream project of yours that you ever want to make or get off the ground?
I would love to do, and this is a really deep cut. Dark Horse had this comic called X in the early 90s. It's a character who would put like a warning out to criminals in like the newspaper or TV, and if they did the same crime again, then he would come after them. I may actually have visual reference if you give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the X omnibus. I think it shares some of the creators, some of the creative team from Hellboy, but yeah, for some reason I really want to do this one. There's like similarities between some other characters, but it'd be different. It wouldn't be it's a different tone than what you normally see. I guess is the better way to say it.
And X, is that a comic or a graphic novel?
It is a comic.
Okay. That is awesome.
Also, I'd love to reboot Dean Kootz's Watchers.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah,
that was my favorite book when I was a teenager, and the movies are fun. I watched that Corey Haim like probably 50 times.
Yeah,
just because I relate, because they made the character a teenager and I related to him. Although in the book the character's like 40. But yeah, I'd love to somehow reboot that. As far as I know, Roger Corman still has it, and he's like never letting it go. But
hopefully he does, and you get it. My mom and I used to watch that when I was growing up all the time. Yeah. And I remember watching the second one, Watchers 2, like it was on HBO or Cinemax, and then
it was on HBO and Cinemax all the time.
Yeah, I used to watch it all the time. Then I think they made a third one and a fourth one. They kind of got a little out.
Yeah, the third one has Wings Hauser, Cole Hauser's father, and the fourth one has Mark Hamill in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and each of them have like little slivers from the book, but and I guess if you took the first two and kind of mashed them together, then you would have the book. But yeah, the first two, even the second one, I probably watched 30 times.
Oh yeah, the same here. I think what was it? Tracy Scoggins in that, or who was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but yeah, those were gems.
Speaking of Keaton Batman, there's one scene where the two police officers are following them, and you actually see a lobby poster in a theater in the background for Batman.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. That's it. Just always jumped out at me, and I feel like no one has ever mentioned that before. So you heard it here.
Yeah, I heard it. I've never heard that before.
34 years old.
All right. But it looks like I have to wrap it up. But you know what? Thanks again so much. And I'm sure we'll talk again real soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Maybe I'll pop in again at your house next week.
We'll compare gray. I'll have more grays then.
All right. So Giovanni, I said hi and take care.
Thank you.